Welcome to the I Didn't Know What the Fuck I Was Doing podcast.
We're your hosts, Teresa
and David.
This is the podcast with two ADHD entrepreneurs
who've made a lot of mistakes.
Each week, we discuss ways to navigate business, relationships, and health.
We also interview excellent guests who share their own personal IDKWTF stories.
Listen today so you can hear some relatable content
as we normalize uncertainty and obstacles.
Because it's important to admit that no one really knows
what the fuck they're doing. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the IDKWTF I Was Doing podcast. I'm David B.
And I'm Teresa Merrick. Did you forget who you were?
I forgot what to say.
And we have the amazing Jill Douglas with us today.
Hello.
Jill.
Hello.
Oh my gosh. I am so fortunate to call Jill my friend.
Mm-hmm.
But Jill is amazing. She has had multiple successful entrepreneurial endeavors in her life. She is a single mom of two, and she's just a general badass.
Oh, so, thank you. Thank you very much.
And you're an incredible friend and mama, and you are just super inspirational. And so, Jill, we're going to have all your info in the show notes, but I would love to tell us about yourself. Like, how did you get started? A little about your background.
Sure. These are hilarious questions. And someone asks you, tell us about yourself. I'm like,
not your favorite color. Like, I want to know a little deeper.
I was born on a stormy night in Detroit. No, I'm just kidding. It wasn't stormy.
But it wasn't Detroit.
Okay. It wasn't Detroit. Yeah. And thank you, Teresa. I love you two so much. And I'm so excited to be here with you both. And so, yay. Let's see a bit about myself. I mean, essentially, I think I was born interested in human beings and psychology and the whole realm of the beyond. Like, I just think that was how I came into this world. And so from a young age, all that stuff just fascinated me. Past lives and, I don't know, like all sorts of weird things. And my dad is a psychologist, so maybe some of it came from him. I don't know. But over time, I did a lot of normal things that people do. I went to college and got degrees and all that kind of stuff. And then found myself in life having a child and then two children and being married and being an at-home mom. And I loved all of that, except that there was like some part of me that still wanted more. And it honestly, doesn't have to happen this way for everybody. Just going to say that out loud. But for me, I went through a divorce, and that kind of pushed me to really explore who I was at a deeper level, at a new time in my life. And so over the years of then really delving into the world of personal growth and transformation that I had always understood to a degree and dabbled in at a, just a light level, like all of a sudden, I was just immersed myself in all of that to make it through and to dig deep and really discover myself again. And so out of that, dreams started showing up. It just became on my heart. And one of them is my business, Soul Traverse, which is like a journey for your soul through retreats, through nature, through being with other women in community. And, I just decided, okay, I have to just go with more of this will come out. But I was just like, I gotta give some of what I've learned for myself to other women, because I know so many women out there, at different stages of their life, they just go through transitions. It's totally normal. But where's the guidance? Where's the support to figure out, man, who am I now in my life? What do I want from my life? So, that stuff just really fascinates me. I'm a total dork about it and I love it. And so now I get to do it for fun and for work and for work, quote unquote. But yeah, and with people. So that's a little bit about me in a nutshell.
Nice. So tell us kind of exactly what does your business do? So you do retreats and you have some programs. So what exactly does it look like? You guys go out?
Yeah. So the logistical, what it actually looks like of the business is I lead retreats for women, generally with a big theme on nature. Like I have a river retreat in Montana coming up. Lots of them are in Georgia because I currently live in Georgia. And so those are available for people to really kind of just reconnect with who they are, at a cellular level, really internally, and do it in community with other people. And then I also do coaching. So I have coaching programs, and I kind of consider it alignment or soul coaching, where I just help a person hear themselves clearer, and guide them to trusting themselves again and taking actions from there. And then I do have little 21-day challenges that people can do that are just pretty like jam-packed with nuggets, but they don't take a lot of your time necessarily. So those are the mainstays right now of like the things that I'm doing.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Could you give us an example of what like a day on the 21 challenge would look like?
Sure. So let me think. There's so many good ones. So some of them are like you start out like with something that seems so simple, but it's put yourself on the calendar. So literally it is like make time to do this challenge every day. It will take you about 20 to 30 minutes. I mean, some people like just get confronted with that, right? Because I hear so many people, I don't have time to wash my face. I can't go, it's like, oh, honey, I mean, come on, women, you can do this. You can do this. And if you're a single mom, even if you're, mom of 12, like you can do this. And you're actually teaching your children something too, So something like that is one of them. So they would put themselves on the calendar. Another one is say no without giving a reason. And it's like, uncomfortable for people, especially women, I think, but it's so uncomfortable to say no and just like be quiet, and I'm not saying that that's like what you should do or what you have to do. Sometimes a reason is helpful, right? Mm-hmm. It's just to notice what comes up inside of us, because oftentimes we justify like, I should say yes to that, but I don't really want to. So I'm just going to like justify how many things I can say no to. It's like excuses. Like we just do that to like help ourselves feel better about saying what we really want. And we just don't do that oftentimes.
That's really interesting, because actually even working in the retail world, which is what I did for a really long time, it was just interesting the weird justification people would come up with when they would say no to anything. And there's no reason to give a reason. It's like, hey, do you want this extra thing that I have to offer you? And they're like, no, because
it's like going to McDonald's. Do you want to supersize your meal? And you say, well, no, because, and like, it would be like,
and there's literally no reason to just say anything.
Why?
But it's seriously, it's perfect, Jill, because Jill, I have had the pleasure of getting to be coached by you just because I get to, because I know you. And it's perfect that you brought up saying no and not giving any reason, because I will take on that challenge for myself to say no. Like this next week, I'm just when I say no to something, I'm not going to give an explanation unless it's requested of me.
Good. Find out, see what shows up, right? I mean, and there's so many of these little nuggets. I have one called Conscious Unraveling, where we really just kind of look at what do I actually like live with thinking all the time. And I just don't normally think that I think about it. I went back recently to visit my family in Michigan, and it was so interesting just jumping back into some of these same conversations that are always present. Like, we don't have the money. Money doesn't do this, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, wow, I don't think that anymore, but it was what I was taught. But when you don't think that that's anything unusual, like you just think it's the truth. So part of what I walk women through is just kind of like really start noticing what you're noticing about what you literally are thinking in your head. And it's just amazing. Or giving up guilt. When I feel guilty, something's like my alignment is off. It's not a knowable thing. Like, what the fuck is that when we tell people you should about something because that makes you want to do it? No, I say no.
But yeah, that's something that I think a lot of people don't think about, that you just, when you unconsciously have a certain way you're thinking or being about something, noticing is so powerful. Yeah. Like that's actually the first thing I work on with my kids too, is like, okay, what do you notice when that happens? And and a lot of times they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, next time it happens, try and notice, how do you feel in your body? Or what were you thinking about right before this thing happens? So it's noticing is powerful, because then you get to like get underneath whatever's going on.
That's good. I'm going to bring that in for my kids too, the noticing, because it's so true. And guilt shows up oftentimes when we're like either out of alignment with ourselves on something we have said and then, not follow through on or something, or we're making up something about somebody else that we're not always responsible for. Like, I wonder how that person's going to feel. Well, that's their responsibility, not mine or not yours. Give them the dignity of their own feelings. They can have them. It's okay.
Awesome. Right. Thank you. It's very intriguing. I'm like, I need to check that out, since I can't unfortunately make it to Georgia as often as I'd like for your retreats, but I will
Right?
we'll make it happen one day. I totally will.
Yeah.
How long are your retreats usually?
They are usually like a Friday through a Sunday. This one in Montana happens to be an extra day, and it's kind of weird. It's like a Saturday through Tuesday, I think. So, but that one's 4 days, I guess. But usually they're about 3.
And what are some of the things you do specifically on the retreats? You told us a little bit about the 21-day challenge, but like
Well,
when you're out,
what-
so it seems so much more immersive, you know?
Yeah, I was going to say what happens at the retreat stays at the retreats. No, I'm just kidding. Some of it does because, you know, it's
Yeah.
private, but no, I knew what you're asking me. Well, first of all, I'm there to guide them, right? So it's like really, like you said, it's immersive. It's like hands-on. I generally walk people through a few things. First, it's like just getting there and arriving and settling in, right? And like connecting to you, setting an intention for like why you're here, what needs to show up, and just listening, right? There's meditation, you know, those kinds of things I walk people through, guided meditations. You already know so much, like your higher self already knows, right? It knows why you came. And so we let that arise and we set intention. And then the next day, you know, we really go into the things that we no longer want and release them, because it's kind of like if you try to like, well, first of all, we're not really there to fix anything, right? There's nothing there to fix. It's just growth. It's just an evolution. But if you are trying to teach something on top of some unstable thing, it's like building a house on a shaky foundation, right? And your beliefs are everything. So if you're kind of, you know, holding on to something and then you're trying to teach something on top of it, it's like, well, that's not going to stick, right? You kind of have to dig around a little bit and get uncomfortable and pull some things out and let them go. And then celebrating where you are now and also action steps going forward. Because the worst thing is when you wake up on the Sunday morning of the retreat and you're like, oh, damn, I have to go home now and face my whole life. And shit, this was like an escape, but now I don't know what to do. That's the worst feeling in the world. You don't want that. So I tell people, I'm like, we're going to stir the pot here. This isn't going to be just like a nice weekend, but I'm not going to leave you in the valley. And we're going to give you like, you're going to feel good coming out, and you're going to have like an action plan for what you take on so that you're not alone. You know, retreats are awesome and they're amazing, and you can have life altering things come out of them. And what I noticed, and I know from personal experience, it's the day-to-day things. It's the like all of life stuff that happens in between that you really need to like keep having support around. And so that's part of how the coaching came out. I was like, wow, like people really need more support too. And I just love being with people in that capacity.
I think something really cool that you said right at the beginning there, and we talk a lot about neurodivergence, but you said they're not there to be fixed. They're there to grow and to learn, but it's not, you can't really fix these things. It's just things you have to adapt to and become aware of, like you were mentioning earlier. So I think that's really
cool. Totally. Because even one of my days in the challenge, 21-day challenge, is there's nothing wrong here. Like there's nothing wrong with anybody. There's nothing wrong with you. Like that's why there's nothing to be fixed. Like there's just nothing wrong with you to begin with. Like, and people are like, whoa, you know? Like,
and I just want to add, with being neurodivergent, we both have ADHD, but it's like a lot of times people who have a neurodivergence are told a lot of times in their life that something's wrong with them. They're bad.
Yeah.
They're not good. They're making the wrong choices. They didn't do it right. And so that kind of gets ingrained. And I think that happens to everybody, regardless of, you know, neurodivergence or not.
Right.
But I think that is definitely something that we both notice for sure in our own lives, is how hard we are on ourselves and like trying to fix a problem.
Right.
When that's absolutely true. Nothing is wrong here.
No, this is what evolution of the human being looks like, people. And I probably have ADHD too. Oh my God. I'm like, what? You know, and one of my kids probably does too, looking at him. And, you know, it's like, okay, one of my kids also, he has like one ear that hears normally, and he has one ear that doesn't. And, you know, it's so funny because people are like, well, his good ear and his bad ear. I'm like, well, he doesn't have a good ear and a bad ear. He has 2 ears and they hear differently, you know, just like our brains. Like, okay, I think this way, you think that way, you know. And I was just having this conversation this morning with a friend who, you know, has some of these new different patterns too. And it's like, just because we don't fit into the mold that has been created up until now, you know, that's why it occurs for people as wrong or problem or something, just because, wow, we're evolving and it doesn't fit the same way. But it's like, yeah, that can be a good thing. You know, we have amazing gifts to give to the world because of how we think. And that's pretty awesome too.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes, and we mentioned it in a previous episode, is, but so often we confuse what's average with what's normal. And it's perfectly normal to have variation and have differences and have extreme differences.
Yeah.
But the average isn't necessarily normal. So
True.
yeah.
Very true. And I
Yeah.
love that.
We use
Mhm.
those words interchangeably, and they're not interchangeable. They mean very different things.
Yeah.
So average is math.
Normal is subjective.
Normal is incredibly subjective.
Yes.
Makes me think of Dan's favorite movie. It's Young Frankenstein. He's like, what brain did you grab? Abby Normal?
Oh my God. That's hilarious.
Well, let's take a really quick break, and then we're going to come back and talk to Jill some more because I have more questions for you, Jill.
Yes.
Oh, I
So-
hope so.
Hear this little message from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. This is a podcast for anyone looking to improve their personal, professional, or family life.
We craft these episodes so you can learn from or relate to our experiences and opinions,
And we'd love to hear more about you. So if you're interested in connecting with us further,
as well as other like-minded individuals.
we recommend checking out our creatively named Facebook group, Colorado Entrepreneurs.
You don't have to be from Colorado or be an entrepreneur to join, but it doesn't hurt.
Just go to facebook.com/groups/Colorado Biz, that's BIZ, and send us a join request.
Or check the link in the description and show notes below.
Thanks for listening. And now back to the show. Welcome back.
Welcome back, everybody.
All right. Well, we are still chatting with Jill and getting to know a little bit more about her and her business, Soul Traverse, and getting some amazing tips. So I actually have a question, Jill. As a mom talking to other moms, what do you notice when you happen to coach women who are also mothers? What is like the biggest resistance or challenge that they come up against when doing the work? What is it that you notice?
That's a good question. Honestly, I think the two biggest ones that come up are, one is the time. You know, we really tend to put a lot of other people before us and then feel bad when we don't. So making that a commitment to do for yourself, or even going another level above and spending money on themselves, right?
Mhm.
Like my 21-day challenge is $21. So that's not a big deal for most people. But like, you know, when you get into some of the upper things, a retreat, a coaching program for 6 months, it's like, wow, I really have to invest in myself. And that can be very hard for moms, but we'd like drop down thousands of dollars for our kid if we had to, you know? So that's interesting. And the other one I would say is like, honestly, like, and this kind of goes together a little bit, but like when we become moms, we take on these roles where at first when a baby comes out, you know, it needs everything, right? It pretty much needs everything. And so you give everything and you keep this thing alive. And then this thing called a human.
And that's okay. They're all things, especially at the ages our kids are right now.
But, you know, over time, they don't need as much, but we kind of keep giving, right? And it takes something, especially if you're a mom who has devoted so much of your identity to being a mother. And there's nothing wrong with that. And at some point, you have to step back and say, who am I outside my child? Because A, you matter. And
Yeah.
B, your child doesn't need that anymore. And I happen to have 2 boys. My older son is 13. Sometimes he just needs to
Have that autonomy.
He needs the autonomy. Exactly. So, you know, I see women really just like blend so much into their children that all of a sudden they're like, wait, I feel lost myself. And so putting time towards themselves can be really hard for them to do at some point, and they do feel guilty about it. So I think that's one of the biggest ones I see.
Yeah, mom guilt. Like we mentioned
Mhm.
guilt in the first half of this episode, but
Yeah.
I think definitely mom guilt is its own brand.
Oh my
Actually, we're talking about planning a vacation for Dan and I have been married 15 years this fall. So that's
God.
crazy.
Congratulations. Big
Thank
deal.
you. And but so I'm like, let's go somewhere. And I'm thinking like more, you know, somewhere out of state, but local, low key. Dan's like, well, why not somewhere tropical? I'm like, what now? Like, okay. So we were talking about going to Hawaii, but then I suddenly had this guilt of like, should we spend that much money? Should I leave the kids? But man, it hit me really hard. Like a week ago, I was just like, should we be doing this? It's to celebrate like us spending close to half of our lives together. Like,
Yes.
so I was like, it's a big deal and it's okay. And the kids are happy. They're going to be with their grandparents. Like for them,
Yeah.
that's like just a week of fun. But like,
Right.
But like, yeah, it's interesting because even when you've done the work, that like that guilt or those thoughts of like, should I be taking us on a family vacation instead of like, that's where I went. It's like, should we be taking the kids with us? And I'm like, no. I've been saying for like the last year, the year and a half, I was like, when we have our 15 year, I want to go do something just the two of us. Like, yeah. But now that it's close, I've got this weird like thing about it. So it's very interesting.
Another way to relate to that too is a lot of my clients are older women. And so what I do is I help people set up their businesses, and I'm more like the systems and the processes.
Nice. Love it.
Like instead of just like telling them how to do it or what to do, I'm actually there with them, helping them set things up. And often what I do see though, is that there's a lot of self-sabotage right before they're at that part where they're going to be making money, or they're going to launch their product, or they're going to get the thing that they've been working so hard to get.
Yes.
And I think a lot of it is there's some guilt because they feel, well, do I deserve to be spending time working on a side project? Am I taking away from my family? And I think there's a lot of that that's come up, which is really interesting.
Well, even my kids were like Marie was joking the other day, and my kids are sweet and they're supportive of me, but she's like, you're abandoning us again. And I was like, I was going to work out last night after I had been working. We worked on our podcast yesterday. Yeah. And then I went home. I was home for like an hour and I went to go work out, which I'm super proud of myself for going to work out. Okay. Like being on it. Like,
heck yeah.
Let's go. But Marie's like, you're abandoning us again. And I was like, would you say that to your dad? And she goes, no. And I said, maybe you shouldn't say that to me then. Because like, it does start to like, and she was teasing and it wasn't, but I had this moment of like, I have been gone all day and I'm leaving it.
Right. But I hear you, because my kids will occasionally do the same thing. And I sometimes personally have similar reactions of like, questioning yourself or coming up against like, am I like not abandoning you, but am I not giving you the attention? And I think that's just, kind of indicative of the roles we've taken on and the roles our society says and everything. But I turn it back to them and we talk about it because it's an opening for a conversation. And I say like, listen, my work schedule looks different than your dad's, but like, look at what I do get to do with you and look at, how it looks. But, you also have to respect when I am working, but also I'm not gone all the time. Like there's a balance. Totally. And this is a perfect example of conscious unraveling, because really it's in those moments of, wait, I heard something. I had this internal feeling about it or reaction about it. What is that about? Is that the truth or is it not the truth? Is that just something I've been told? Or is that actually how I feel about it? And I need to examine that because, it could be different things, but to just pause long enough to be like, something's going on in me. What's that about? Not to like dig a cesspool and like, live down there for 3 months, because that's another thing. I think that's the other side of it. And I have encountered women in this situation before too, where the shadow side almost of like personal growth work is like, ooh, look at these weeds. Oh, I have more weeds. Oh, more weeds. And then we get stopped by that, right? And like I'm in the weeds all the time. I'm like, and it's like, okay, it's good to
Jill,
know.
I love how animated you are. Sorry guys, for those of you that aren't watching and just listening, Jill's visual is just funny. And that's why I laughed. But what you were saying is so good. And it's so true because I feel like every human has done that, where if you have done any sort of deep personal growth work, you do that. You go
that pendulum swing.
And you think, I need to fix me. Something's wrong with me. And I'm in the weeds. And oh my gosh, look, I'm just finding more like shit that I'm terrible at or bad at or whatever. And so
it's not the point. The point is to bring it up to, bring it to the light so you can see it and release it. Let it go through, not to see it and be like, ooh, now this is my prized possession and I can wear a badge saying I got fucked up as a kid. So guess what? I'm going to be a victim for the rest of my life. I mean, that was a total tangent right there, but you know what I mean? Like we can do that.
Yeah. So what would you say, Jill, when you do have those moments with your clients who are kind of getting down into the weeds? How do you help them like slow that down and get out of it?
Yeah, this is a good question. A really good thing to practice sometimes, this is for anybody who goes into the weeds or, worry, anxiety, things like that. Like it's looking at stepping back from it and saying, okay, what's reality? Like what is actually, this is a pencil in space. Like this is part of a physical reality. There are other aspects of reality, but we're just talking like what is actual right here. Okay. And get a handle on that, because then from there you can say, it helps sometimes to write down your thoughts, blah, 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 look at them on the paper. And you can ask yourself these questions. Is that true for everyone? Is that true all of the time? So that's a good tool to just get like what's actually in reality versus what is in my mind, right? And also the whole concept of like, hey, nothing's wrong here. These all have guided you to exactly where you are now. I am a firm believer that life is working for you, through you, with you all the time. So that thing that happened to you or that thing that's going, you know what? It happened. And it's part of who you are. And that's okay. It's actually part of the nudge that has gotten to you here. And now there's more to come. Like you're in the process of creating the future right now. What's happened before has created you till now. But now you get to stop and say, what do I want to create going forward?
I imagine also this is one of the huge benefits of your immersion weekends, is that you can really work with people and get them into that like really uncomfortable place, but be there to support them so they can practice being uncomfortable and becoming aware of it and getting out of it in like a supportive, nurturing environment.
Absolutely. Because there's nothing like on the court, experiencing something, embodying it, and really moving through the stages. And like, this isn't the same exact topic, but even at one of my retreats, we were doing like, when you learn how to trust yourself, sometimes it's helpful to like, really, there's a spectrum, but like of what is a hell no to you and what is a hell yes to you, right? And like your body is a really great litmus test for where you are. If you are a yes or a no to it, right? It'll guide you. But we don't oftentimes like turn that off, right? I wonder why so many people have indigestion these days. No, but really we kind of tamp that down. But we were doing this exercise where we were going through like you had to imagine something you were an absolute hell no to, like murdering puppies or something, and and shout it, like literally say no, like so you could feel that in your body. And then we did it for a yes. And one of the women was like, I can't get to my hell yes. Like I can't feel it. I got to the no, I can't get to the yes. And so, I was like, nothing's wrong. Allow it time. Sometimes it just needs the space to come up. Well, hours later, we were doing a releasing exercise, like into ceremony to the fire, where we were like releasing things, right? And as she was releasing it, she found her hell yes. And all of a sudden she's out there being like, yes, I found it. Yes. And like, that's the kind of thing that like, you can't always get through like just a little challenge or just whatever. You have to like be in the space of it. And it was just so exciting. So yeah, definitely. Those are really, really
That's amazing. Moments. You just sold me again that I have to come to one of your retreats. Like I just,
totally.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Hell yes.
Hell yes.
Hell yes. Boom. That's right.
Awesome. Well, when you're ready for more Jill, come to our next episode because we've got more Jill. So thanks for coming.
Yeah, we got some really good like tips and specific tricks on this episode. Good. And I'm really interested in hearing kind of exactly how you structure your events. So maybe some of our listeners are looking to do something similar to what you're doing, or maybe even in a different like field, but like how you've put your business together, grown it, and like some of your successes that you had and some of the struggles that you've overcome while getting to where you are.
The IDKWTF moments that you had, because we all have those. So
all have them. Yeah, totally.
All right. Well, so join us on the next episode to hear all of those amazing details. Bye, guys. See you next time.
Thank you for listening. This has been part 1 of our 2-part series on this topic.
The second episode will be out this coming Thursday, if it's not out already.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, please consider liking, subscribing, and or reviewing us on wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Also, if there's someone you know who clearly doesn't know what the fuck they're doing and would benefit from this topic, please hit that share button and send them this episode.
Let's normalize the feeling of uncertainty,
asking for help, and admitting that we don't know
what the fuck we're doing either.